vinyl community, Dark Dove back with another video update of recent finds. A lot of the stuff I'm going to be showing today is in the kind of industrial, neo-folk, dark ambient genre, but I've also got some 60s psych, 60s acid folk. Also, I've got a rare item on the New Zealand Flying Nun label, which I mentioned. Bostonian Reggie and James Buttery both shown items from on that label, so I have a very rare item which I picked up during the week, but I'll show that later. Starting off straight away, in my last video I showed some items which I got as part of a sale in my local record shop. There's a 25% off sale. That's still going on now. Now that at the moment they have some items half price, so I'm going to be showing some of those as well. But I'll start off straight away with this is something that Derek, you've shown before. This is a mini album called Landslide. It's put out by a trio of Irish musicians. Dermot McDermott, Suzanne Walsh and Brian Cuniffe. All three of them are active on the Dublin experimental music scene. This came out in 2013 on the label Lumberton Trading Company, which I think is a Polish-based record company. So this is it's a limited edition of 250 copies. It's kind of in the kind of experimental dark ambient genre. It owes quite a bit to Coil, and actually the album itself is dedicated to the late Peter Christopherson and John Balance of Coil. And in fact, one track, Not the Night, features a sample from a Coil track, which is called the Coil Reconstruction Kit. I got that for 25% off. Moving on, another item which I picked up, which I also got for 25% off, was this. This is a reissue of Chris and Cosey's third album, Songs of Love and Lust. Originally came out in 1984. This was kind of slightly, I suppose, more commercial or maybe more accessible than their previous material. Comes with this interesting insert. This picture here, those two mysterious figures in the silhouette there are actually the Eurythmics, Dave Stewart and Annie Lennox, who, because they were in a contract, there's some reason why they couldn't show their pictures. I think it was something to do with a contract with the record company or something like that. I'm not 100% sure, but anyway, there's some classic tracks on here, Driving Blind and Walking Through Heaven. So yeah, so this is I already have their first two albums, original presses, on Rough Trade, and their stuff is generally pretty hard to find, so this is worth picking up. And as I said, I got 25% off the retail price. Okay, moving on. Now, yesterday, as I said, the 25% off sale has been going on for a while, but as of yesterday, some items can be picked up for half price. So the next two items, this is something which had been on my want list for a long, long time. This is by Vivian Stanshall, the former frontman with the Bonzo Dog Doodah band. This is called Men Opening Umbrellas Ahead, and sorry, this was a solo album he did in 1974, the year of my birth, by the way, and initially it was was only pressed in about 5,000 copies and deleted very quickly because of poor sales, and for years this album was long out of print and very, very hard to find, and original copies were extremely expensive. So this is a reissue which came out, I think, in 2012 on Poppy Disc. Now this is a fantastic album. There's a very strong kind of Afrobeat influence in there. It's kind of funky, very funky. Actually, this Jim Capaldi and who else was it from Traffic? Steve Winwood and Jim Capaldi from Traffic feature on this album, and I highly recommend it. Now, I must say his vocals are probably not to everybody's taste. They can get slightly annoying, but it's a fantastic album, and I highly recommend it. So I got that for half price. So initially it was €20, but I got it for €10. Now the next item I also got for half price. This is Brian Eno and Eno and Hyde. You'll have to forgive me because I just forget Hyde's first name. He is from Underworld. Carl Hyde. So this is this came out in 2014. This is actually the second album which they have collaborated on. It's a double album. I have not yet had the chance to listen to this. I was going to have a listen to it before I did this video, but I thought it was getting a bit late, so I want to get the video up kind of early. But I will give it a spin after while I'm uploading this, and I'll give my opinion in the comments. But I got this for an incredible €12.50, half its normal retail price. So I was really, really pleased with that. Okay, now two more items which I got in the same store, in the same shop, but these I didn't get these half price. This is something which I'd ordered. This was actually shown by Jack Styles quite some while back, and I ordered it pretty soon after, but it took actually months to arrive. This is the debut album by Swans, This is a reissue, their debut album Filth. This originally came out in 1983, so it's a repressing on mute. As Jack would have already shown in his video, some bonus posters come with this. Show you the other one. The reproductions of tour posters from around the time that the album came out. This is for anyone who's familiar with them through the Seer and their recent albums To Be Kind. This is where it all began. So this is a very, very intense album. This is brutal, loud, a very, very intense listen, and sports this very kind of eerie cover art of a close-up of a pair of teeth there. The other item which I got yesterday, now this is actually second-hand. I got this in the second-hand section, but it wasn't covered by the sale, so I paid full price, but it's something which I've been looking for quite a while. This is the debut, it's the debut, kind of proper debut album by Current 93. It's called Dog's Blood Rising. This is again a reissue from 2008. A second-hand copy. Their stuff is very, very hard to find. Current 93, set up by David Tibet, a pivotal figure on the English industrial scene, formed in the early 80s. Stephen Stapleton, of Nurse with Wound, your friend Ben. He's a frequent collaborator with David Tibet in Nurse with Wound. He's not a full-time member, but he has collaborated on almost every Current 93 release. So they had put out some kind of mini cassette albums and stuff, but this was their first kind of proper album. So it came out in 84 originally. This repressed on Duretto Janana, I think it's called, in 2008. So this is a very, very intense album as well, like the Swans album before it. It's quite different to what he would go on to do. David Tibet was kind of instrumental in the genre known as neo-folk, so from which he kind of took on a more acoustic direction, but this is definitely more on the kind of very, very industrial side. It's not an easy listen, it's quite a creepy album, but highly recommended if you like that, if you're into that kind of thing. Now, kind of, there's a bit of a next item I'm going to show. There's a bit of a connection because this is something I picked up in the Mother Jones flea market for $5. This is by a lady by the name of Daniela Dax, and she was in an experimental duo called the Lemon Kittens, who were on United Dairies, Stephen Stapleton's record label. This was her second solo album, and it has the title Jesus Egg, Jesus Egg That Wept. This came out in 1984 on Awesome Records. This very, very interesting, kind of experimental, kind of gothy. There's some very, very good tracks here. I recommend checking out the track Pariah on YouTube. It's kind of give you an idea of what her stuff is all about. But this is an excellent album indeed, and I highly recommend it. Now, moving on from all that kind of industrial stuff, seeing as recently the sad news was announced of the death of Edgar Froese of Tangerine Dream. Now, a couple of days ago, in a second-hand record store which I regularly call to here in town, I picked up this. This is something which I've been looking for. It was one of their albums which was missing from my collection. This is, I think, their third, Zeit. Not an original. This is a Spanish pressing from the late 70s on Virgin. I've previously have had this on download. This is a vital early album from Tangerine Dream. It's kind of like it really kind of does. It's like the oral equivalent of just, you know, endless space, basically, and it's kind of conveyed in this cover of I believe it's an eclipse. So it's I've been looking for it for quite a while on vinyl, and I was really pleased to pick this up, and I got it for a nice price too. Okay, so the next few items that I'm going to show you, I picked them up from the same, from a different second-hand record shop. It's another one which I call to on quite a regular basis. First up, this is for something slightly different. This is a bit of modern classical. This is the German composer Hindemith. This is on the Supraphon label. Supraphon, Czech label, specialized in classical, also jazz. So this is a 10-inch. Paul Hindemith, German composer, active in the mid 20th century, a pivotal figure in modern classical, and sonata for viola and piano, and Trauer music for viola and string orchestra. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I'm probably not. I got that for €3. Now the next item is something which has been shown in the VC quite a bit. You'll probably all recognise this. This is Quicksilver, Messenger Service, and Happy Trails. This is an album which I wasn't too familiar with, but when I spotted it in the window, I spoke to Ben, who highly recommended it to me. this came out in 1969, and this is an original Canadian pressing on Capitol. Now, if you weren't familiar with this album, you might kind of think from the artwork that was something along the lines of the Eagles, you know, like kind of country rock, but nothing could be further from the truth. This is Psychedelia. This is an absolutely fantastic psychedelic album. It's really, really mind-blowing stuff. This long extended jams, kind of reminiscent of, well, I suppose kind of slightly reminiscent of the Grateful Dead, but yeah, so that was a great find. Now, the other item which I found in the same shop is, again, something you don't come across too often. Tim Buckley and Hello and Goodbye. This is his second album. This is not an original pressing. It is. It's on the Butterfly label, so that would kind of indicate that it's probably early 70s. It's not his best album. I mean, it is a very good album, but it's I think it's kind of let down a bit by the title track, which I'm really not crazy about, and which takes up a considerable chunk of side 2. But other than that, you know, it is a very, very strong album indeed. But Tim Buckley, by the way, he had strong family connections to here in Cork. His father's parents were both from Cork, so Buckley is a pretty common surname here. So yeah, so Tim Buckley, Goodbye and Hello. Now, the next item, which I picked up from the same store, was something which caught my eye. Initially because of the label it was on. This is by the Chills, and it's a 7-inch Pink Frost Purple Girl. This is on the Flying Nun label, which is what initially drew me to it, because I remember reading an article, and I think possibly Record Collector magazine some years ago, about the Flying Nun label. So this is a band called the Chills from Dunedin in New Zealand, and I got this for €10, and it turns out that this is very, very rare indeed. There's two pressings. One from this is the first pressing which came out in 1984. There is a later pressing from '88 with different labels. This is exceptionally rare, and there is a single copy of this up for sale on Discogs at the moment for €200, which is probably, I should say, a tad overpriced, but nonetheless it is very rare indeed, and I got it for a tenner. So it is pink, purple, Pink Frost, by the way, is very, very good song indeed. Actually, no, it's purple. Sorry, there's one instrumental, and which I think is Pink Frost is the instrumental, and Purple Girl then does feature vocals. Yeah, so it's a very good example of early 80s indie pop, and a very lucky find, I think, for that price. Okay, now I'll just very quickly show you some items which I picked up in a charity shop a couple of days ago. These are all